So as you can see, I've made little progress on the pond since step number 12. I actually let the base green dry overnight, and I added a darker blue underneath to make it less green and more blue. And then I did some dry brushing of the white on top, just to give it an idea that it's like white capped. Looks pretty wild and woolly for a little pond, but I quite like it. Then I added some glue here and used simply sand from my grandson's sandbox, and I sprinkled the sand on top here to make a beach. And then I purchased a bag of stone from the craft store, and I started gluing all these stones on the edge. You have to make sure that the edge is completely sealed off before you add the natural water effects, because it has to be completely sealed off. So now I'm just going to continue the stones here until I get to the beach. Add a few stones to the beach perhaps, add a few stones perhaps to the water, and we'll go from there. I just use a hot glue gun. Take a handful of stones and add the glue to the shore. The hot glue gun used sparingly does not harm the styrofoam. A lot of other glues do. Add another bead of glue on top for the next layer of stones. And that looks complete. Okay. So I run into a few problems with my pond. I purchased this product from Woodland Scenic called Realistic Water. It's supposed to be the best in the industry. However, I did not read the instructions properly, which is not a good thing to do. And I've discovered that you cannot pour this Realistic Water product on top of craft paint. My pond looked so wonderful, and then when I poured the Realistic Water on it, I did film it, but it didn't work right because it has seeped into the styrofoam. So when I contacted the people at Woodland Scenics and asked them what was going on, they said I had to plaster the pond before I could put the Woodland Scenics on. So we're going to be doing an extra step, one that I wasn't counting on, but that I'm going to do anyways because I want this to work properly. And in order to plaster it, I need a product called Plaster Cloth, which I have. So I'm going to use a product called Plaster Wrap by a company that's called Art Minds. I'm going to make this plaster wrap wet and put it over the pond so that I can use the Realistic Water. So here goes the first layer of plaster cloth. This was a step that I really had hoped that I wouldn't have to do this year. She said I could just lay it on top of the pond. This just means that I have to paint the whole pond again. But hey, you learn from your mistakes. True? Learn from your mistakes. I just hope that the ripples come through. You have to rub to get the plaster activated. I'm a little bit sad that I have to take this extra step, but it is what it is. That means I also need to plaster cloth the river. Okay, so yesterday I went out and I bought acrylic paints. And before I realized it, I had this pond already painted. So I apologize for not showing you that. It's the same procedure as painting it with craft paint, except acrylic paints are a little bit more dense. They're a little thicker. But I still have the little stream here that I need to paint. Goes on a little bit easier than craft paint. It's a better quality paint. And this is where the waterfall will be going down. So you want some blue behind the waterfall, or the waterfall will be completely colorless, which is okay too, but I think the blue behind it will look nice. Now I'm going to let that dry. And here I have my waterfall. This is simply using the Woodland Scenics water effects. And you measure how long you want the waterfall to be. You have it smaller. I have it smaller at this end and a little bit larger at the bottom. And you put it on your plate, use some toothpicks to make marks in it, and then after a day or so, it will simply come off. And here you have your waterfall. I'm gonna have to glue it and use some more of this. The paint isn't quite dry. Water effects to bond it to the top of the waterfall, to bond it to the base. It acts a bit like a glue. And I'm going to do the same effect that I did with the craft paints. I'm going to dry brush a little bit of white onto it to show ripples and waves. And in order to do that, I take a little bit of paint on my whisk brush and take most of it off, and then just lightly brush over in the direction that you want the waves or the ripples to go. Now this one's going to be around the waterfall a little bit. It just makes for a little bit more action in the lake, in the pond. Doesn't do a lot. But it does add a little bit more of a winter effect to the pond. Don't know if you can see the difference. Might be a little bit too understated. There, that's a little better. like that. Shows a few ripples around the waterfall. I'll do a close-up photo of that. The other thing that I wanted to do was add a little bit of snow to the rocks. Oh, there's a loose one. Re-glue those. They're a little bit loose. Also add color to the water effects. And I have to do the beach again. There, I like that. So the paint is all dried. The waterfall is mostly dried. So I think I'm going to try to put the realistic water on top again. This is the Woodland Scenics product called Realistic Water. It's supposed to give it a really nice glaze. I think before I do that, I'm going to put a bead of glue along the edges that are not, just to make sure that it stays where it's supposed to. I really hope that this does not react with the glue gun glue. Okay, it appears that the glue is dry, so let's give it another whirl. Just pour it on. Just pour it on, and then take a brush and spread it to the side. It is self-leveling. Oh, it's a good thing I put the glue on. It wants to go right over the edge of the pond. So now I need to leave this for 24 hours. By tomorrow, this time tomorrow, it should have settled and hardened. It's a good thing I put that bead of glue there. So over the course of the last several days, I finally got the waterfall in the pond to look the way I wanted it to, realistically, with the use of wonderful products by Woodland Scenics. And I will give you a link to their website below. Time will tell. In 24 hours, I will come back and have a look at it and make sure that the product has worked the way it's supposed to work. Thank you to all the advice given to me by the folks at Woodland Scenics. I appreciate their help. And I think it's still the best products on the market today. So from now on in, there's a few more things I need to do. I've filled in all the gaps with the filler, with the expanding foam. I have to carve some of it because it tends to just get out of control. Like you just put a little bit on and it just explodes. So I'm going to have to carve a little bit of it, but I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. If you see here on the side of the portal, it's all been done, but it's like doubled in size since I put it there. So I'm going to carve some of it off. I'll be putting trees on, many, many trees, and people with doing various activities, and then we'll see whether it's complete. There's also a matter of making snow from Mod Podge and baking soda and white paint, and I will be painting all the fences and adding snow to the different areas of the diorama before it looks finalized. There's a few other tricks that I might try, and I'll certainly take you along for the journey. Thanks for watching. Wishing you peace and blessings. Goodbye.